So, how does the world's largest democracy, with over a billion people, actually work? I mean, it's a massive complex system, right? Well, in the next few minutes, we're going to pull back the curtain and demystify the entire structure of the Indian government, from the very top right down to your local village council. Here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll kick things off with a foundational blueprint, the Constitution itself. Then we'll do this three-tiered zoom in, looking at the national government, then the state level, and finally local governance. And we'll wrap it all up with a look at the engine that powers the whole thing, the great Indian election. All right, first up, let's get our foundations right. To really understand how India is governed today, we've got to go back to the very beginning and look at the core principles that were laid down right when the nation was formed. The preamble to India's constitution, it's incredible. It basically defines the country's entire political philosophy. It declares India a sovereign, which means fully independent. Socialist, so it's focused on social welfare. Secular, meaning no official state religion. And a democratic republic, which means the people elect their leaders, all the way up to the head of state. The speed at which this happened was pretty remarkable. After independence in 47, a constituent assembly took just under 3 years to draft the entire rulebook. The result? The longest written national constitution in the world, which officially came into effect on January 26, 1950, a day we all know and celebrate as India's Republic Day. Okay, so let's move to our first tier and see how this blueprint plays out on the national stage. This is the union government, the top level, which operates from the capital, New Delhi, and handles all the big national issues. At the very top, India has this really fascinating dual executive system. You've got the president, who is the ceremonial head of state, kind of like a monarch. But the real day-to-day executive power, that rests with the prime minister, who is the actual head of the government. And when it comes to making the laws for the whole country, that power is split. It's what's known as a bicameral legislature, which is just a fancy way of saying it has two houses, the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. So here's how they balance out representation. The Lok Sabha, that's the House of the People, is directly elected by every single citizen. It's meant to reflect the popular will. Then you have the Rajya Sabha, the Council of States, which is indirectly elected by the state governments. This makes sure the interests of the individual states are represented at the national level. And if we look a little closer, we see a really key difference in their power and purpose. The Lok Sabha, the one we all vote for, serves a 5-year term. And, this is crucial, it holds the real financial power. It controls the budget. The Rajya Sabha, on the other hand, provides a sense of continuity, with members serving staggered 6-year terms, always there to represent state interests. Okay, time to zoom in to the next level down, the regional engines that really drive the country. We're going to see how that national structure we just talked about is basically mirrored in India's 28 states. And would you look at that? See the parallel to the national level? Each state has a governor who acts as the ceremonial head, a lot like the president. And, just like the prime minister, the real political muscle lies with the chief minister, who leads the elected state government. Now, state legislatures are a little different. Most states keep it simple. They have just one house, the directly elected legislative assembly. But a handful of the larger states have a second, upper house, called the Legislative Council, which mostly acts as an advisory and review body. And the way these upper houses are formed is really unique. They aren't directly elected by the public. Instead, their members are chosen by this mix of different groups: state legislators, local bodies, and even special groups of teachers and university graduates. It's a design that's meant to bring diverse kinds of expertise into the lawmaking process. And now for our final zoom in, all the way down to the third and most grassroots tier of Indian democracy. This is where governance gets personal, right at your doorstep. Just look at that number, 3 million. That is how many elected representatives there are in India's local governments. That one single figure just shows you the incredible, staggering scale of grassroots democracy. It completely dwarfs the number of politicians at the state and national levels combined. And this system isn't just some informal, old tradition. Nope. It was actually formalized back in 1992 through major constitutional amendments. This made local self-government a protected and mandatory part of India's democratic structure. It's the real deal. So in rural areas, this is called the Panchayati Raj system. Think of it as a nested structure. You start with the Gram Panchayat at the village level. That feeds into the Panchayat Samiti at the block level. And finally, you have the Zilla Parishad, which oversees the entire district. And in the cities, well, that's where urban municipalities or corporations come in. They handle all the essential stuff. We're talking about everything from your water supply and sanitation to maintaining local roads, parks, and streetlights. These are the services that really affect daily life for millions of us. So finally, how is this entire multi-layered, complex system actually powered? Well, it's through one of the greatest human endeavors on the entire planet, the Great Indian Election. This whole massive process rests on four key pillars. First, you have a completely independent election commission with the power to oversee everything and keep it fair. Second, universal suffrage. Every single citizen over 18 gets a vote. Third, the use of electronic voting machines for speed and security. And finally, the simple promise of regular elections at every single level of government. The sheer scale is it's mind-boggling. In the 2019 national election alone, there were 900 million eligible voters, and over 600 million people actually went out and cast their ballots. That's a voter turnout of 67%. It is, without a doubt, the world's largest festival of democracy. And at the end of the day, this entire complex system is built on one simple, powerful idea: accountability. Through regular elections, it's the people who hold the ultimate power to choose their governments and, just as importantly, to vote them out. Which leaves us with this one final thought. The Indian system of government, it's a constant dynamic balancing act. It's this incredible three-tiered structure designed to hold the nation together while also empowering immense local diversity. It's a question that India continues to answer every single day. Thanks for joining me.